These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
You know what I like about my morning commute? It's time to reflect. Ponder those big questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Sometimes you just gotta take those bumps in the road and keep on moving forward.
Dude, you couldn't possibly be any more wrong. Stop the car.
That's deep. Like me. I can respect that.
Dude, it's a pothole. I could report it to Hillsborough County right now as a customer service request. Just choose your service and select the issue. Your browser pinpoints the problem, and you can add any important information and even take a picture. It puts Hillsborough County at your service 24/7.
Well, all right.
It's very important to prepare before a storm gets here. That's not the time to start making a plan. Right now is the time to know what your risk is, what your plans are for your family, how to stay informed, and how to get involved and volunteer so that you can help your community before the storm gets here. Take preparedness seriously, as in these past couple years, we never know how a disaster will evolve. If you wait till the last minute, that's when everybody's in there wanting to get those last little bit of supplies. Take your time and making sure that you have all the exact items that you need to put in your emergency kit. That should be able to support you for up to at least 7 days. It's important to know your evacuation zone. If we get into a situation where a decision has to be made that you're in danger from the surge coming in that's created by a storm event, that you know when your zone is called that it's time for you to go. Preparedness. You never know what the hazard is going to be, what the event is going to be, but if you take those basic steps that we talked about, it can apply to any hazard that impacts Hillsborough County, and your family will stay safe.
Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Welcome to the November 18th, 2024 regular meeting of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For action items, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chair. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that introduction, I would like to ask Commissioner Rodriguez to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, please stand. Heavenly Father, today we focus on the objectives we have as planning commissioners to fulfill our mission: to promote, coordinate, collaborate, and facilitate with all people in creating and implementing the long-range planning and vision for our community, to improve economic development, quality of life, and provide value-added services. Help us to make decisions that fulfill that mission. Bless us as we meet together today. Amen. Present. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. All right. Next up, I would like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bowden.
Here.
Buzza.
Here.
Cardenas. Here. Kona. Fernandez. Kress. Here. Lauk.
Here.
Soria.
Here.
Sebian. Here. Orton.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Joseph.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Next up is the approval of the minutes for the following meetings. Hillsborough County Planning Commission regular meeting minutes, September 9th, 2024. Hillsborough County Planning Commission public hearing on City of Plant City plan amendments meeting minutes, September 9th, 2024. Hillsborough County Planning Commission public hearing on City of Temple Terrace plan amendments meeting minutes, September 9th, 2024. And Hillsborough County Planning Commission public hearing on City of Tampa plan amendments meeting minutes, September 9th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
All right. Moved approval by Commissioner Buzza, second by Commissioner Bowden. Any comments or discussion from the commissioners? Not seeing any, would all signify their approval by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Next up on our agenda is the election of officers, our annual election of board officers. Did you want to say a word, Tracy, or did you want me to just go ahead and go into the nominations?
Go right ahead.
All right. I will start off with the chairman position. I will take any nominations from the floor right now if anybody wants to nominate anyone.
point of clarification, there's already a name on here, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I'm listed. Nigel Joseph is on there, I guess. Were there any?
So do we need to officially nominate?
No, there doesn't have to be. I just open it up.
Okay.
To see
So I
if,
don't have to officially nominate you if you're already on here.
right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm in there. You can vote for me if anyone has anyone that wanted to.
Were you the only one who expressed an interest
Yeah.
in the
Position.
job?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So seeing no other nominations, I guess I am chairman again by default. So
By acclamation, apparently.
all right. Thank you all for your vote of confidence there. All right. So we will move next to the vice chair. We have no one because I was the only one who put my name in for that. So we have no one. So we're going to have to get some nominations here.
I will self-nominate once
All
again.
right. Commissioner Lauk nominates himself. Are there any other nominations besides Commissioner Lauk? I'm going to nominate Commissioner Cardenas. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to nominate Commissioner Cardenas. I'm not going to be here forever, folks. You know, somebody's going to have to step up at some point in time. You guys got to work your way up here so you get some experience with these things, you know. All right, so we got Commissioner Lauk and Commissioner Cardenas, and I am not. Any other nominations? Not seeing any, then would everybody please record?
I would just say that Commissioner Cardenas seems also open to member at large, just as a nomination.
Commissioner Sieben too, but we're not there yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
What is member at large?
It's Commissioner Kress.
I think that you're kind of in the ascension to go to vice chair and then
I
chair,
see.
which I'm probably not interested in, so I should probably sit somewhere else.
Okay.
Commissioner Cardenas, you were saying something, sorry? What if we're both sick?
All right, if you'll mark your ballots, I'll come around and pick them up.
Okay.
We'll count them.
Everybody vote.
Did we discuss the member at large position?
Next, after this. Yeah.
We're picking up vice chair and chair. This is vice chair.
Well, we have a unanimous vote for Commissioner Lauk. Congratulations.
And you might have to run a meeting this year, so just heads up there. I'm letting you know.
Computer works.
All right, member at large. Congratulations, Commissioner Lauk. Congratulations. All right. Member at large. We didn't have anyone sign up, so we are definitely going to need some nominations for this one. Commissioner Kress, do you have a nomination, possibly?
If you'll accept, I'll nominate Commissioner Cardenas.
All right. Got a nomination for Commissioner Cardenas, and I am going to nominate Commissioner Sieben. And are there any other nominations before we vote? Not seeing any. Would everybody please record their vote?
In favor of, for member at large, in favor of Commissioner Cardenas, Commissioner Seba, Commissioner Bowden, and Commissioner Caven. Is that Chris? Excuse me. I knew that didn't sound right. I was like, huh. Okay. And in favor of Commissioner Sieben, we have Chairman Joseph, Commissioner Buzza, Commissioners Lauk, Sieben, and Giovanni. I think I mispronounced, didn't I?
I think you said Sieben twice.
Yeah.
I do. I have two.
Maybe one is Saria?
No, one was Surya.
Okay.
I have Giovanni, Sieben, Lauk, Buzza, and Joseph.
Okay, so Commissioner Saria voted for Commissioner Cardenas.
I voted
Yes.
for her.
Right, no, I got that.
Yeah, we got that.
Right, it
We
was
got
just when
that.
you said who voted for Commissioner Cardenas, you said Sieben, and I think it was Saria.
It is Surya.
Okay, just to correct it for the record.
All right.
Yeah, okay. All right,
We've got
we're
5-3.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
They have to swap, don't they? I was made to come up here when I first got elected, like right in the middle of the meeting. They were like, here you go, you get to run the rest of the meeting. And I was like, really? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So. Yeah. So warning to anyone who takes chair, I'm gonna jump up immediately. Like if you get voted chair, you're running the rest of the meeting. No, I just ruined it. All right. So we'll move on to TPO member. We have the last two. TPO member is the first one, and the only name we have right now is mine, Nigel Joseph. So are there any nominations from the floor for TPO member? Commissioner Wild?
So for clarity on this one, can you be a county citizen or do you need to live in the city? Number one, and then when are the meetings?
Well, I think you just have to be a board member of this board. And then the meetings are typically Wednesdays after this meeting, but sometimes there's special meetings that come up during the month, so there might be an extra meeting here or there. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning,
That's right.
typically the second Wednesday of the month, but yeah, they have some special meetings as well.
Okay, thanks.
It's weird seeing her here now. I shouldn't have said that, but I like it. It's cool. All right, so are there any nominations from the floor? Not seeing any, then, Commissioner Opp?
I'll nominate Commissioner Bowden. He was the alternate last year.
All right. Actually, Commissioner Fernandez was the alternate last year.
Oh, he's here for alternate.
Right.
Still nominating you.
Yeah. It's too late now. I got it written in, so. All right. Are there any other nominations? Not seeing any at this time, then please go ahead and record your vote. Somebody didn't write their name.
All right, for Commissioners Joseph, I have Commissioners Bowden, Sieben, Joseph, and Kress, and also Giovanni. And I'm missing one signature here. For Commissioner Bowden, I have Commissioners Loke, Soria, and a missing commissioner. Who didn't I call? In any event, it's 5-1 for Commissioner Joseph.
All right. Okay. Well, that can't be 5-1. That's what threw me. There's 8 of us, so it has to be like 5
I'm sorry,
to 3.
excuse me, 5-3.
Okay.
5-3.
Okay. There.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what gave me the pause. Okay. Well, all right. So I guess I'm the MPO representative again. And next up, our last voting one is TPO alternate. And we have Commissioner Bryce Bowden, who volunteered himself. And do we have any nominations from the floor for TPO alternate? Not seeing any at this time, then we'll congratulate Commissioner Bowden for winner by default, TPO alternate. And you'll have to get that updated information to the TPO, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not watching it.
All right. Next up, we have our ad hoc committees and boards that we don't really vote for. I just get to put people on there. But since we have some volunteers, I don't have to be mean. So we have Commissioner Kress, who volunteered for our Public Information Committee. Thank you, Commissioner Kress, for continuing that. Our awards ceremony that we had just a couple weeks ago was really awesome. So congratulations on that. Really good job. For Budget Committee, I volunteered myself, and we have no one else, so I guess that makes me the chair. Commissioner Laut?
I don't want to be the chair, but I wouldn't mind being a part of that.
Okay. I was going to ask for volunteers for people who wanted to just be a part of it. It'd be good for you all to get some information on those sorts of things. Commissioner Lauk, okay, and myself are on the Budget Committee. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Commissioner Soria? All right. Throw you on there. All right. So on the Budget Committee, we have myself, Commissioner Lauk, and Commissioner Soria. And the last but not least is the River TAC Committee. And we didn't have anyone who volunteered for that. Is there anyone who wants to volunteer for that? No, Commissioner Sieben, I think you did it last time. You can do it again? All right, sweet. All right. I was just going to ask you to explain what it was like, but since you volunteered, I'll take that. All right. So that is it for our ad hoc committees and boards. Affordable housing's taken care of? I don't see it on here.
It is on a separate term of office,
Okay.
so it's not up right now.
Okay. Cool. That is it for our election stuff. So, yep.
Quick question. Can we be on multiple, like when that one does come up? Okay.
All right. Thanks. All right. So election of officers is done. Public inputs for items not on the scheduled agenda. Let me check with HTV and see if we have a Sam Karamian on the line. I had him sign up for comments. For
Mr.
public.
Chair, Sam did not sign in.
Okay. All right. So we didn't have anyone sign up for the public comment. All right. So next we will move on to our action items. Action items number 4A is Plant City, 4-year 25 through 29 capital improvements element schedule of projects update, and the presenter is Erica Larson.
Good afternoon. Erica Larson, Planning Commission staff. One moment while I pull this up. All right, this item is Planning Commission's review of Plant City's capital improvements element CIE schedule of projects update. This is an action item. Chapter 163 requires that the schedule of projects or the list of projects addressing level of service and adopted in the comprehensive plan be updated on an annual basis. The update would replace the existing CIE schedule in the comprehensive plan with the schedule listed in your packets. City staff identified projects in the CIE that affect the level of service. These items make up the schedule of projects. There was a recent Chapter 163 update that also requires the CIS to include Basin Management Action Plan BMAP projects to be updated annually. BMAP is a framework for water quality restoration that includes a comprehensive set of solutions to achieve the pollutant reductions established by total maximum daily load, TMDL, as defined by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The update is accomplished by ordinance, which is explicitly permitted under Chapter 163. This is a routine annual update. We come before you each year with this information to support the ordinance. Additionally, the plans of other agencies are incorporated. There are 4 main categories included in the CIE schedule: streets, which includes sidewalks, bridges, and other pedestrian enhancements; utilities, maintenance, and operations, which includes both water and sewer projects; stormwater, and parks and recreation. The total 5-year funding amount for these projects is approximately $60.4 million. The Planning Commission staff examined the CIE schedule with respect to the goals, objectives, and policies in the comprehensive plan. A few of these policies are identified here, with the full list of policies identified in the staff report. The schedule is consistent with Capital Improvements Policy 1.1.14, which states that the top priority for funding is repairs or replacement or obsolete or worn out facilities. A majority of the projects meet this description. The CIE schedule is consistent with Public Facilities Element Objective 1.2, requiring coordination with the 10-year Water Supply Facilities Work Plan. The CIE schedule furthers the intent of the infrastructure sub-elements, which includes language that states provide quality infrastructure and services to residents and enhancing transportation options. Planning Commission staff recommends the city's fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 29 CIE schedule projects update be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and that this recommendation be forwarded to the City Commission for approval. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We didn't have anyone sign up in the public comment for this item, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, discussion. This item. Not seeing anyone moving, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Loud.
I move we find the City of Plant City FY 25-FY 29 capital improvements element scheduled projects update consistent with the Plant City Comprehensive Plan.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Loud. Commissioner Buzza?
I'll second.
All right, a second to that motion by Commissioner Buzza. Any questions, comments, statements from the commissioners before we vote? All signify their agreement by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, our next item of business, action item 4A, Temple Terrace, 4-year 25 through 29 capital improvement section schedule of projects update, and the presenter is Erica Larson.
All right, good afternoon again. This is Erica Larson, Planning Commission staff. This item is the Planning Commission's review of the City of Temple Terrace Capital Improvement Section CIS Schedule of Projects Update. This is an action item. Similar to the previous presentation, Chapter 163 requires that the schedule of projects or the list of projects addressing level of service and adopted in the comprehensive plan be updated on an annual basis. The update would replace the existing CIS schedule in the comprehensive plan with the schedule listed in your packets. Planning Commission staff identified projects in the CIS that affect the level of service. These items make up the schedule of projects. And similar to what you heard about Plant City, there is a requirement for BMAP projects to be included. However, per Temple Terrace staff, there are no active BMAP projects that meet this requirement. Again, the update is accomplished by ordinance, which is explicitly permitted under Chapter 163. This is a routine annual update. We come before you each year with this information and to support the ordinance. Additionally, the plans of other agencies are incorporated. Displayed is a summary of the CIS projects, which are placed into 6 program areas. The total funding amount for fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 29 is $50.45 million for 157 projects. This slide shows a breakdown of level of service project types identified in terms of level of service priorities outlined in Capital Improvement Section Objective 1.1. A total of 77% of the projects address replacement of facilities and elimination of deficiencies. Staff also analyzed the CIS schedule with respect to the funding source requirements and the comprehensive plan. Capital Improvements Policy 1.5.5 states that the general fund should not be used for those facilities with dedicated revenue sources, such as potable water, wastewater, and solid waste. After review of the general fund expenditures, staff found none of these types of projects relied on general funds. Capital Improvements Policy 1.5.10 and 1.5.11 state that all projects within the first 3 years of the city's CIS be funded with committed revenue sources. These include ad valorem taxes, gas taxes, and user charges. Staff reviewed the funding sources and timing and found that the CIS schedule funding was in accordance with these requirements. Planning Commission staff recommends the city's fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 29 CIS schedule of projects be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan, and that this recommendation be forwarded to City Council for approval. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. No one signed up for public comment on this item, so I will again turn it over to the commissioners for discussions, questions, comments. Not seeing any, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Lauk.
Motion for consistency.
All right. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. A motion by Commissioner Lauk, second by Commissioner Buzza. Are there any comments, questions, statements from the commissioners before we take our vote? Then would all signify their agreement by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, on to our next agenda item. Our last action item is 4C, City of Temple Terrace Land Development Code, Section 12-861, Fences, Walls and Hedges, Section 12-40, Definitions, and Section 12-128, Non-Conforming Fences and Walls on Residential Property. And the presenters are Krista Kelly and Miranda Anaya. Oop, turn it on.
Hi, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. Just bear with me and I'll find the one PowerPoint here. The item before you is the Temple Terrace Land Development Code text amendment for Section 12-861, Section 12-40, and 12-28. This is an action item. I will be turning it over to Temple Terrace staff, Miranda and Ayaya with Temple Terrace, and following her presentation, I will present a consistency recommendation and ask for action by the board. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Miranda Anaya, City Planner with the City of Temple Terrace. The city is proposing revisions to 3 sections of the LDC regarding the regulations of fences. Our building department has encountered some issues with permitting, specifically regarding corner lots, and we believe the proposed amendment will resolve those issues. The first section that we identified was the definition sections. We amended the definitions for fences and decorative fence to include the types of materials and styles that will be allowed. We also changed the structure definition to include fences as structures, which were currently exempted from listed as a structure. We added the terms wall and decorative walls. They were mentioned in the fence section, but didn't actually have a definition for them. We changed the definitions of a deep lot from 75 feet to 90 feet to accommodate an area of the city that fit the purpose of the deep lots. There were some minor changes to some of the setback definitions, including clarifying that if a structure didn't meet setback requirements, then it would be subject to our non-conforming section. The yard definition was changed specifically to specify the setbacks on a developed lot and a vacant lot. On a development lot, we have required yard setbacks based on the zoning district the lots are located in. We added some new illustrations. As mentioned, one of the issues that we have is on corner lots. Residents have expressed concerns that they feel the corner yard regulations are too restrictive. Currently, fences have to meet the same setbacks as a principal structure, which can range anywhere between 10 and 15 feet. And we propose to reduce that to allow the fence to be built on the property line. There were also complaints that the corner yards, where the corner yards stop and end, and previously the corner yards extended all the way to the front lot line. And the illustration that you see, we have now changed it to end at the front setback line. And because of the changes to the corner yard definitions, we updated all of the other yard definitions and also defined between developed and vacant lots for each term. Staff also had the legal department review this application, and they did want to add that applicants can be denied an application if they fail to disclose easements. As far as the height requirements, we currently allow 7 feet for rear and side yards. So staff also added corner lots can also have up to 7 feet, and we updated the illustrations to show that as well. We do have special standards for deep lots. They can have up to 6 feet in the front yard. We also added clarification that if it's for a decorative fence, it can also apply for decorative walls and hedges. We removed some of the illustrations that no longer apply to the corner lot definition. And in the front yard, except for a deep lot, walls and fences have to be anywhere between 3 and 4 feet. Currently, the LDC says 3 feet for fences, and there were complaints that when contractors or homeowners would buy these sections of fence, they can only come in 2-foot sections. So at a council workshop, City Council recommended to allow the decorative fences up to 4 feet and keep the decorative walls at 3 feet. There are minor changes to where to measure the height for a fence and fences that have sloping issues and post scenarios. Another big topic that we had were about easements. We have also added language that says if they decide to put a fence in the easement, that they are accepting the risk that it may be removed or altered and dismantled in order to get work done in the easement, and we did coordinate that with TICO to draft up that language. We also have language for fences in drainage easements to ensure that it doesn't impede the flow of the water or the drainage patterns. Staff clarified that chain link fences are not allowed in single-family front yards unless it's on a vacant land. There's also language for fences along water bodies and wetlands. And we did add, if it's a city-funded project, that there may be exceptions to this section, and construction fences are regulated by the building official and not this section. The city also has had some code compliance issues with the orientation of a fence. We were having issues with some people having the fence inward instead of outward, so we added language that says the finished side has to be facing outward and printing or art has to face inward. Staff slightly edited the prohibited fence and wall materials list to include materials like sheet metal, woven chain link fence slats, and chicken wire. There are slight changes to the uniformity of the fences. The legal department also weighed in on subdivision walls and the responsibility for the respective parties. Staff also took a look at the section about landscaping. Currently, we require landscaping for residential lots, and we thought it was just causing too much trouble on a code compliance aspect. So we did remove that completely from the LDC. We also determined how we would determine a front, side, and rear yard. For instance, if the street address didn't match the entrance of the house or the garage. And to coincide with the removal of the landscaping on residential lots, we also had to update the non-conforming section because it had specific language about landscaping for residential lots. And as I mentioned earlier, we did amend the deep lot section, so we also had to address that in the non-conforming section as well, from going to the 75 feet to the 90 feet. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Krista, yeah.
Yeah.
Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff again. Staff reviewed this LDC text amendment regarding or relating to fence standards and nonconforming fences and found it consistent with those policy 1.1.7 in the land use element related to achieving compatibility with fencing. It was also consistent with using fencing to protect existing residential uses from negative impacts visually and physically. That was policy 3.1.3. And lastly, the staff found that it was consistent with those policies that direct that development meet or exceed the requirements of all land development codes, and that was policy 8.5.3. Based on these findings, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed LDC section 12-861, 12-40, and 12-128 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of Temple Terrace's comprehensive plan. With that, we ask the board to take action on this item.
Thank you. All right, we didn't have anyone sign up for the public comment on this one either, so I will turn it over to commissioners for questions, comments, discussion on this one. I had a quick question for Ms. Miranda, Ms. Anaya. The director is referenced many times throughout the document. Who is that individual?
Director of Community Development.
Okay. It seems like that individual is given a lot of power in this document. Or was that the way it was kind of codified before as a director?
It's sprinkled all throughout the LDC, yes. So.
Interesting. All right. Any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. We will close the public comment on this item, and I will open it up to motions from the commissioners on this one. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that we find the proposed LDC consistent with the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan and forward on to the Temple Terrace City Council.
All right. Motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza. A second to that motion by Commissioner Bowden. Are there any comments, questions? Clarifications from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Would all signify their agreement by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. On to our briefings and presentations. Our first one is 5A PC CPA 24-08 Comprehensive Plan Text Amendment. Update to Land Use Map Number 4, Future Land Use Scenario Map of the Northeast Plant City City Area Master Plan, and the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Thank you, Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. I am presenting Plant City's Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2408. This is an update to the Land Use Map Number 4, titled Future Land Use Scenario Map of the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan. This is a publicly initiated text amendment. This amendment is intended to update the Comprehensive Plan Land Use Map 4, which I just described, and it also would change the title of this map to the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan Preferred Land Use Scenario Map. It's quite a mouthful, but this change was recommended to improve internal consistency within the comprehensive plan, which this map is constantly referred to as the preferred land use scenario map. So why are we updating this map? The land use scenario map has not been updated in over 15 years. The map was adopted in 2008, and the conditions, development needs, and market demands have changed over time in this area. The Planning Commission was requested to assist in reassessing and updating the preferred land use scenario map to ensure that it continues to be effective in accommodating the community's needs and implementing the vision of the master plan. To give you an idea of the scope and location, the Northeast Master Plan Preferred Land Use Scenario Map covers approximately 20 square miles of land in and outside of Plant City in the northeast quadrant of the city. The boundary of the scenario map extends to, and I'll put my cursor over here, Halfway Mile Road and Knights Griffin Road to the north, Interstate 4 and US Highway 92 to the south, the Polk County Line and County Line Road to the east, and Alexander Street north and Paul Buckman Highway and Park Road to the west. To give you an idea of the time frame for this and process for this plan amendment, this amendment was initiated by the City Council in late 2023. Preliminary work with Planning Commission staff working jointly with Plant City staff in around April 2023. This project was officially kicked off by approval of the city manager in June of 2023. Staff convened a technical working group in June of 2023, and this group worked closely with Planning Commission staff and held 3 meetings in September 7th, September 26th in 2023, and a final meeting in February 15th, 2024. We also held a public open house on February 29, 2024, and the City Commission held a workshop on August 26, 2024. At that workshop, the City Commission was very supportive of this plan update or this map update and approved going forward with a plan amendment to consider adopting this map. Okay, and the plan amendment to update the comprehensive map 4 has been submitted as a publicly initiated plan amendment in the September 2024 plan amendment cycle. I wanted to, because this is a briefing, there are a lot of details associated with this project, but I wanted to give you the highlights of the updates to this map, and I understand that it's difficult to see, but I'll try and show what I'm referring to. First, the map was updated to incorporate the recommended North Alexander Preferred Land Use Scenario Map This recommended map was part of a market land use and land use study that recommended changing the land use in this area right here. So essentially, we updated the map with the map adopted in this study, which was prepared and adopted in 2018. This map updates and recognizes adopted plan amendments and annexation and other changes to land use to match the Plant City's future land use map. Again, it was adopted in 2008, but was not updated as plan amendments and annexations occurred. It was updated to recognize the density approved and built for North Park Isles, which is a large planned residential PD. And previously it was designated residential 4, and portions of it, we unified it and recognized it as residential 6, which was approved and what has built out. We removed the agricultural designation, which was generally located outside of the city limits, and replaced it with residential future land use designations consistent with the Plant City's future land use map. We revised the map to show designated recreation and open spaces only those areas that match the city's future land use map. And we delineated a future economic development overlay, which is this cross-hatched area that you see running along the major corridors, I-4, Paul Buckman Highway, Alexander Street, US Highway 92, down Park Road. This overlay is intended to allow for greater non-residential, high-density, and mixed-use development along strategic corridors. In closing this presentation, I wanted to show you the before and after. So on the left, you see the current map, and on the right, you see the proposed map. It's a little darker, but as you see, this dark area here is the economic opportunities overlay. As you see on this side, there's a lot of green. That's the agricultural that we referred to that has been changed to agricultural residential 2 in many places. We've included additional commercial between the corridors of Paul Buckman Highway and Alexander Street, and also expanded commercial activity near the new hospital between Park Road and Wilder Road. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I know that it's very hard to see, and there's a lot of details. I'm happy to introduce Robin Baker with Plant City. She's also here and worked jointly with every step of the way on this project, so she can also answer questions.
All right, thank you. Oh, is that the end?
That's the end.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Remember, this is a briefing, so this is going to come back to us for action at some point in the future here. Just generally, has there been a lot of interest from the community in this, or was this just a publicly initiated thing from like the planning department out there, or?
There was a lot of interest, to be honest. There were a number of plan amendments in that area that were very interested to see how this map would be revised. We did have an open house where over 100 people attended. It was a very good turnout, lots of questions, a lot of interest, a lot of feedback. So yeah, there was a lot of attention.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Commissioner Bowden, I see you moving.
Yeah. When you say there was interest, is it more residents or the actual business that showed the interest?
It was actually a very good mix. Of course, the land use consultants were very interested on behalf of a number of clients, but there were a lot of citizens there that wanted to monitor their piece of Plant City in that area that are agricultural rural, to make sure that it's preserved. So it was pretty evenly mixed, to be honest.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the information. And we will move on to our next agenda item, 5B, PC CPA 24-09, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment 4115 and 4119, Native Garden Drive. And the presenter is Yanika Mills.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Unica Mills Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present PCCPA 2409, located at 4115 and 4119 Native Garden Drive. This is a privately initiated amendment. It's large in scale. It's a little over 60 acres. And the applicant has made a request to change the future land use designation from Hillsborough County Residential 1 to Plant City Residential 6. Here is a general locator map. The site is located within the northern portion of Plant City. It's also within the northeast area master plan, more specifically on the south side of Williams Road, west of Native Garden Drive. And the site sits along the northern portion of the North Park Isle subdivision. Here's an aerial of the site. As you can see from this aerial, we have Williams Road to the north, Native Garden Drive here. From this aerial, you can see there's lots of large lot single family scattered along here. We have a presence of single family residential along the northern boundary of the site. We do have some single family residential located within this pocket that's not included within this amendment. And again, North Park Isle subdivision is located to the south and along the southeastern boundary of the subject site. Currently, the site is designated as Hillsborough County Residential 1. Other future land use designations in the area include additional Hillsborough County Residential 1 in the light green. We have, again, a presence of Plant City Residential 6 in the dark yellow. And in the green, we have Park, Recreation, and Open Space, and that is the McIntosh Park. The applicant is requesting to change the future land use designation to Plant City Residential 6. Currently, the subject site has the potential to develop up to 60 dwelling units or over 653,000 non-residential uses, of course, subject to locational criteria. If the subject site were to be approved, there could possibly be up to 360 dwelling units developed. The non-residential entitlements would remain the same at a 0.25 FAR. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the information.
Thank you.
And we will move along to item 5C, PCCPA 24-10 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, north of Williams Road and west of Wilder Road. And the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. I'm presenting Plant City's Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2410. This site is located just east of the amendment you just heard described. It's north and south of Williams Road and west of Wilder Road. This is a privately initiated large-scale map amendment. The site's approximately 90 acres in size. The applicant's requesting a change from Hillsborough County's Residential 1 land use category to Plant City's Residential 6 designation. As you see on the location map, the site is on the northern side of Plant City, again, kind of north of the previous plan amendment. The site is within the boundary of the Plant City, the Northeast Plant City Area Master Plan, and the site is also north and south of Williams Road, as I indicated, and west of Wilder Road. This is the aerial of the site. It's outlined in pink. You can see the site itself has been used for agricultural purposes. The blue line indicates the city limits of Plant City. As you can see, this site touches the very a portion of the southern side or the northern side of North Park Isle. That's the little stub out there. The surrounding area consists predominantly of rural and agricultural uses. As you can see, there are homes on large lots, potentially using those large lots for agriculture as well. This is the adopted future land use map showing the site currently designated Hillsborough County Residential 1, as is the surrounding area to the north, east, and west, and south as well. And again, this is North Park Isles, and it abuts North Park Isles right here on a segment of this stub out. As I said, the applicant's requesting residential 6, and as you can see, this would extend North Park Isles up and across Williams Road into the rural area. If this application were approved, the dwelling units would increase from 90 homes to 540 homes. Also, the non-residential square footage allowable would be 980,000 square feet approximately, and that would not change. Overall, the proposed amendment would increase the potential number of dwelling units by 450 units, but there would be no change due to the FAR in the square footage. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, discussions from the commissioners on this one? Not seeing any. Thank you for the information, and we will move on to our last presentation item. 5D is TACPA 24-16 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment. Parcel located at the northeast corner of North 22nd Street and East Hamilton Avenue. And the presenter is Jennifer Malone.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission staff. I'm presenting on a Tampa plan amendment. It's a little out of cycle. That's why we're here before you in November. So it's a parcel located at the northeast corner of North 22nd Street and East Hamilton Avenue. It is publicly initiated by the city of Tampa. It's small scale, about 15 acres, from recreational open space to public semi-public. It's located in the central Tampa planning district in the Old Seminole Heights neighborhood. Here's an aerial of the subject site. It is the southernmost 15 acres of a larger parcel that's owned by the city. As you can see, it's east of North 22nd Street, west of Rowlett Park Drive. Immediately to the south is a TECO facility. Further east of the site are industrial uses along Rowlett Park Drive. We also have CSX Railroad that kind of abut the site. And then we have a single-family detached neighborhood to the east. I apologize, to the west. And we're north of East Sly Avenue, and this is Rogers Park Golf Course further north. The future land use of the site is recreational open space. The surrounding land uses are light industrials to the south, residential 10 to the east, or I'm sorry, to the west. We have community commercial 35, which is the red color that allows for some commercial intensive uses, and then public, semi-public in the area as well. And recreational open space is also delineated, the parcels to the north, and then further north, the Rogers Park Golf Course. The proposal in front of you is recognizing the public, semi-public request on the southern 15 acres of this larger parcel. There is no maximum in these categories. The development potential is determined by the surrounding uses, but it would allow the consideration of government buildings or facilities that would not be associated with park operations. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right. Are there any questions, comments on this one? Not seeing any at this time. I'm going to ask, I presume that City of Tampa will be here when this comes back through for action, because I'm just kind of curious as to their background, which you wouldn't have, what they're, kind of thinking and doing with this thing. I'm just
They'll absolutely be here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Not seeing any other. We will move. Thank you for the information, and we will move on to our next agenda item, number 6, the Executive Director's Report. And the presenter, Melissa Zornita, sorry.
That's okay. Good afternoon, Melissa Zornita, Executive Director. In front of you is a copy of my report. It's extra long because we haven't met since September. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight. We've had, over the course of the last 2.5 months, it's been a while, a number of community meetings. We've had a wrap-up open house on the Valrico Community Plan meeting. And then we just recently, this last week, had a number of meetings related to the expansion of the urban service area in southeast Hillsborough County. We've had a number of presentations related to, we met with Tampa City Council on the update of the City of Tampa's future land use section. That was in September on the 19th. I had the opportunity to present on that topic to the West Shore Alliance also that month. Then there's kind of a gap where we had some hurricanes, and we'll have some time to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. We've had a meeting with Thea and the city and the county on updating the Riverview Community Plan, which will be launching in the spring to coordinate with Thea's work looking at extending the Selman down US 301 and in that corridor into South Hillsborough County. As was mentioned earlier, we had our Planning and Design Awards at the end of October. Was glad that the hurricanes didn't mess that up and we were able to move forward with that. We've had an internal debrief on that, but we would like to work with Commissioner Kress to schedule a public information committee to talk about how that went, and would welcome all of your feedback, particularly from those of you who attended. We have contracts with both Florida State and the University of South Florida for studio projects with their planning departments, and both of them have been here, made some presentations, are making some really great work. The group out of Florida State are working on updating the county's future land use map in some areas where we've seen some trends. They're making recommendations on updates to the land use map in certain areas. And then the students from University of South Florida are working on a project documenting some of the history in the Progress Village area that was identified as a strategy coming out of the update of the Palm River Progress Village Community Plan. Lastly, I wanted to highlight in relationship to the awards that we did have the opportunity, I had the opportunity last week to present the Tampa City Council sitting as the CRA with an award that they had won. And in December, I'll be going to the city of Temple Terrace to again present them with two of the awards that they won there as well. So happy to see that the awards kind of continues to educate folks about those great projects in different settings. Our next meeting will be on December 9th, and then attached or also seated at your chair is the schedule for 2025. So I wanted to highlight, we sent this out because we didn't have the meeting in October. We sent this out and asked for feedback if anyone identified any issues. We did not hear from anyone, but would like consensus at this meeting on the meeting schedule. There are a couple of times in February where we will have a second public hearing. That instance is to consider the publicly initiated amendments to the urban service area and the related land use amendments. Those we're notifying over 10,000 property owners, so we'd like to have that on a separate night just in case there's a large crowd. Then in March, we also would be recommending a second public hearing, in this case to consider the City of Tampa's future land use update. We found with the county's update of the future land use section, it was beneficial to have that on a separate evening, not mixed in with other plan amendments. So those are the only two times in the year that we're proposing to have two meetings in a month. And we did not identify any conflicts with any holidays or anything like that. So would be looking for consensus on that from you all. Why don't I stop there before I go through a couple other items?
All right. Anybody have any comments, questions, or anything on the schedule? Are we all okay with it? Recommendations? you kind of snuck that March in there. I mean, I saw February was double loaded. I didn't see that March was. Do we have when do we do our, is that next year, our joint retreat, like the strategic planning thing?
The strategic plan runs for 5 years,
Okay.
so we'd have a little bit more time in that. We would want to schedule a retreat with you all sometime. Maybe we'll wait till after March since you're going to be doing double duty those couple of months, and but we'd work with your calendars on a separate day for that.
All right. Is everybody good with the schedule? Commissioner Hall?
The month where we have 2 meetings, thank you for putting it at 5:30. I think as a group, last time we talked about it, seemed to work a little bit better, but I wanted to bring it up in case it doesn't, in case things have changed for other commissioners. So is that 5:30 time slot, does that work?
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we're good to go with it.
Okay, wonderful. Also in my report, there is an update on a number of plan amendments that were heard both by City Council. There was a group of them that were heard in September, and then a group that was heard by the Board of County Commissioners in November. And that did include the privately initiated amendments to the urban service area, which you all had heard, I guess maybe that was in August. It's been a bit. And those were all transmitted to the state by the Board of County Commissioners. So that was useful in informing how we move forward with the publicly initiated larger amendment in those areas. The other item that I had listed on the agenda was to talk about the hurricane response. It was a pretty unusual year to have 2 hurricanes back to back like that. And I felt like as an agency, we handled adapting our schedule and our workload very well. We had a lot of practice during COVID working remotely, so we were able to switch pretty quickly to doing that, only necessitating taking a couple of days that were fully disaster leave. Now, there were some staff who were impacted more than others, primarily by power outage. And so we all sort of worked together to make sure their work was able to continue. We did identify the need to update some of our public meeting procedures to make clear when we should be considering canceling meetings. We've used as a rule of thumb, if there's a local declaration of emergency, that we should consider canceling the meeting. And that's what we utilized when I talked with Chair Joseph about canceling your meeting in October. But we're still under a local state of emergency here in Hillsborough County. And so that may not be exactly the right rule only to be considering. We might need to consider some other things. And it would be good for us to document that for us or future folks to be able to follow the decision tree in making those decisions, not only about your meeting or the TPO meeting, but also community meetings, because we've identified that often further ahead of an event, the community is already starting to think about preparation. They're not in the mindset to come to a community meeting anymore. They want to be focused on their homes. Then we've also seen, they're quite extensively documented on the news, the impacts of all of this. And I'm sure many of you were impacted in your homes as well. There were some areas that flooded that we were surprised by, certainly. I think I was surprised to see the area along Fowler Avenue and some of the areas in Forest Hills flood. That is something that both the city and the county are looking into and have ongoing investigations of. We're going to continue to monitor those and make sure that our plans that look at increasing density or allowing density bonuses, for example, along Fowler Avenue, are responsive to, perhaps we can leverage those as ways to help make stormwater improvements in those areas, because as those areas redevelop, they'll be looking at changing the amount of impervious surface on those sites. So that's something we're looking at and coordinating with the city in particular on right now, because we've got their future land use update coming forward. But wanted to provide some space for you all to discuss anything that you all wanted to related to the storms as well. So
It's not in our purview, but from a stormwater standpoint with new development, I think in the industrial complex where my office is situated, we've had multiple new warehouses built in that area just north of the airport, along Sly to Benjamin area, and we saw flooding in that area that we've never seen. Leading up to that storm with afternoon thunderstorms, we were seeing Sly Road flooded. So from a development standpoint within the stormwater city of the portion of the department of the city, thank you, Jess, we may want to revisit some of the steps we're taking when we're reviewing some of the plans. Obviously outside of our purview, but if we're allowing development that's seeing stormwater runoff during thunderstorms, it's going to severely impact that area in a hurricane.
Okay, thanks, good feedback.
See Mr. College in the back. I remember speaking about this recently with the CIP that just came through, talking about stormwater and kind of the way we look at adding more to, capital improvements elements and things like that. Is staff thinking about that? I know you, Ms. Zornita, spoke in sort of the way staff is reacting by looking at density. We cover a lot of stormwater and drainage stuff that comes by us, and we don't talk about it a lot because it's kind of nerdy, deep stuff. But it is kind of within our purview in certain instances. You know what I mean? Before these storms, I sat right here and said, well, these storms are getting worse. Our flooding is getting worse in certain areas that aren't near the bay. And how are we handling that from a stormwater kind of, view? Are we talking about that in any way? And I know just by being a planning commissioner for so many years that that's something that we don't usually get into. We kind of leave that to the technical water department people or the engineering departments in the county or the different municipalities. But we have one water section that talks about green infrastructure and ways of handling these things that we don't really talk about a lot. We automatically go to density. And Commissioner Fernandez and myself often make the argument that if we built our infrastructure certain ways, then we could avoid these sorts of problems. So I'm just wondering if staff is giving that any thought, or as an agency, are we looking at those sorts of things, or are we just strictly looking at density?
It's a very good question. Sean College, Planning Commission staff. No, I think we look at it holistically. I mean, we look at all range of opportunities in the comp plan. We have we have the stormwater element, which is the one water element. We have coastal, we have environmental, we have land use. We got to look at it. We all look at it holistically, and we look at those different areas of the comp plan. We look at how can we support and enable the city or the county to do whatever is necessary to meet the needs of the community with regard to flooding and stormwater. So there are as you mentioned, an array of ways of dealing with it, and we make sure that the comp plan enables all of those, and then let the cities be able to do and the county do what they need to do. We have been in touch with city staff since the hurricanes and talking to them about that. They are looking into both the city and the county to the flooding that occurred. Why did it occur? What do they need to do? Can they improve the stormwater facilities? And as Executive Director Zornita mentioned, one of the things that we're looking at when we talk about more density is that going to affect any existing flooding? And really, when you talk about density and stormwater, there's infrastructure that deals with it, and then there's impervious surface. Impervious surface is a factor. It's not the only factor. And but we do want to minimize impervious surface. So particularly if you're talking about redevelopment, which in many cases in Tampa, that's what we're talking about, you can actually increase density, but if you're not increasing impervious surfaces, you have the same impervious surface, and maybe you're upgrading the stormwater facilities as part of that density bonus or that increase in density, you can actually improve stormwater control and increase density at the same time. So we're looking at these type of things in a holistic approach.
Commissioner Seaman?
I think, of course, this is really important, and again, also probably not within our purview, but I think the infrastructure question is something that we should be looking at more in depth. And I think that this is also potentially a Florida building code issue. If what Commissioner Lauk is seeing happening is actually happening, then either the civil engineers who are designing those developments are doing it poorly and not complying with the Florida building code, or the Florida building code needs to update its standards. And I think these are just things that, when the community calls in and asks us to do something about it, I think that's where it starts. It starts with infrastructure, and it starts with our regulations around how we proceed with development responsibly.
Commissioner Lau?
Those are great points. And it also makes me think of the inspection process on the back end. As inspectors are coming through during the building phase, some of the stormwater runoff, how do you measure it, how the development's being done.
Well, good points. I wanted to add also, I think as an organization, we should look to individuals in our area who have historically handled this well. The first thing that comes to mind, Commissioner Rodriguez, our representative from McDill that sits on the bottom of the peninsula that doesn't get washed away at all. They deal with it. They take it. There's damages. They have to rebuild. They have to rework things. But we have a prime example of how to deal with these things sitting right here, and everybody's kind of looking in the wrong direction. So I'd say as an agency, we might want to start to think about how we kind of corral people to look in the right directions. One Water is a great example. One Water came from left field, not really, but here in this area it was left field, and now everybody's One Water this, One Water that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good examples out there, and as an agency of leadership, we need to start bringing those examples to the forefront and telling municipalities, well, hey, look at this, look at that, go talk to these people, go talk to that people. I think that's really important. So add that to density.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the challenge is that what do we have purview over making recommendations specifically on? I love the idea of highlighting great examples and bringing those to the jurisdictions, but ultimately they make the decision on how the resources are going to be utilized for different infrastructure and on how they're going to change different regulations. And some of the regulations may be not even the city or the county, they might be the water management district or others who regulate those aspects. And so the comp plan, as Sean said, enables a lot of things, but where it often has the regulatory teeth is in the density. So that's probably why we lean on that a bit, because that's where we might be able to have some leverage to say, well, you could get some more density if you provided this infrastructure, or you retrofit the stormwater and brought it up to current standards, things like that. That's a tool we have in our toolbox. But absolutely, I think the policies need to look comprehensively at these issues. In December, you will be brought forward the city's coastal element for a public hearing. And so that's part of why Sean's here, to make sure if there's any feedback, related to that we're able to capture it and make sure that's incorporated, because it has been a bit since we had the workshop on that element.
And I'll just add, related to infrastructure and the need to address stormwater, in the development of the updated coastal management section, there was a concern, rightly so, that some of the policies could be interpreted as maybe limiting infrastructure for stormwater. We didn't want that. We took it to heart, and when you see that next month, you'll see that we did address that policy to make sure it allows for the full range of investment in infrastructure to address any kind of coastal or flooding or stormwater needs the community might have.
Yep. So I was going to mention that, and thank you, Sean. We had a conversation where it had appeared that we were in the coastal high hazard area discouraging infrastructure improvements beyond the existing development pattern, but in fact, they had modified it to suggest that it's going to be inclusive of the future planning of those areas. But so my question was more specifically because I don't remember seeing, but do we have actual provisions within that document that encourage higher levels of development even within the coastal high hazard area if you do improve the stormwater infrastructure? Because that might be something that we should consider.
In development of this section and working with City Tampa staff, they had expressed that they were looking at additional requirements across the coastal hazard area. And so we specifically wanted to enable that. And yes, there is a policy in there that talks about that the city may, that may require mitigation as required by the city. It's very general because we don't know exactly what the city is going to do yet. It might be a year or two before they implement it, but we did make sure we enabled them to be able to do that.
it might be worth considering maybe some sort of density bonus or, some other provision like that if the stormwater infrastructure was improved to the extent that it supported surrounding and existing developments or, I know that that's something that the city is striving to do, and it might be just one more tool.
All right, all good comments. Are there any other comments from the commissioners? All right, we'll leave it back to you.
Yeah, I think that's it for my report. Thanks.
All right, thanks for the information. On to our next agenda item, item number 7, other business, chair's business. I have none. Old business, I don't believe there is any. New business was the meeting schedule, which we took care of. So does anyone have any other new business? Not seeing any, we will move on to committee reports. I have a committee report from MPO. It's been a while since we met, so there's been a bunch of MPO meetings, 3 MPO meetings since our last board meeting. We had a meeting on September 11th that I attended. We had a meeting on October 30th that I did not attend because I was at the PC Awards, and Commissioner Fernandez was unable to attend also because he was at the Planning Commission Awards also. And then a meeting on Wednesday, November 6th that I did attend. On the 9/11 meeting, we looked at an overview of the Access 2050 LRTP and the open comment period. We accepted that and moved it forward. We also looked at a 2024 roll forward tip amendment. That was approved by roll call vote. And what that is we were just looking basically at moving funding for lag projects from last year into the new year to align with the FDOT work program. So it was more of an administrative thing, right? Just paperwork to move stuff forward. We also had a state intermodal system cost feasible plan update and letter of comment provided by staff during that 9/11 meeting, which was pretty interesting. That letter of comment, in that letter of comment, we addressed the I-275 project north of Hillsborough and asked that District 7 look into public transportation projects along the shoulder of the roadway. And we also asked for a second transit project to look at bus rapid transit on the roads adjacent to it, so like Florida and Nebraska down there. So we're just basically asking FDOT to look at using the infrastructure for public transit in different ways, along with what we asked for with the additional lanes. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that was, again, forwarded by staff and Director Wong. So we approved that and sent it on to FDOT, and the secretary seemed amenable to it, looking at those things, the public transit on the roadway and on the side streets and stuff like that. So at the 10:30 meeting, again, I wasn't there, but the LRTP was approved by roll call vote, even though I wasn't there. And on the 11/6 board meeting, we had a 2024 priority list amendment and proposed program changes that was accepted. Several public transit projects were moved up the priority list. Those include the airport to downtown premium transit, the Tico streetcar extension, the Brightline multimodal connection, and a HART CSX study. All 4 of those were moved up the priorities list. We also had a program reshuffling to place smart cities as a #1 priority for our area. We had 2 tip amendments in that meeting to also get approved by roll call vote. One was for a HART 2024 route restoration planning grant, and the other was for a HART emergency relief for Hurricane Ian. This was just getting HART back some of the money for some of the actions they took coming out of COVID to restore routes and in response to some of the hurricanes that we had recently. Lastly but not least, in our meeting on, what was that? The 6th, November 6th, we had a presentation by the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority on creating a transportation system for Tampa's growing and changing communities. It was done by the CEO, Greg Slater. It was a very good presentation, so I asked him to get in touch with you, Ms. Ornita, to come and do the presentation for this board. It looked at a lot of things like reusing spaces underneath the expressway. I know, Commissioner Kress, you're big on that sort of thing. So he's real excited about it and what they're going to be able to do going forward in the future, and it was a real positive discussion we had with the council members, with the BOCC members. Everybody was really excited and really thankful for him doing that presentation, so I thought it was something that we all should see.
And he will be here in December.
Yeah, there we go. Sweet. All right. So that was it from the MPO meetings, and that's all I have to report on. Are there any other committee reports? Not seeing any at this time, then that is all we had on this agenda. So we will see everyone at 5 p.m. for the public, 5:30. 5:30? Wow, okay, 5:30 for the public hearings. And with that, at 4:29, this regular meeting is adjourned.